A Kapiti Coast councillor accused of indecently rubbing himself against a council staff member has gone on trial in the Wellington District Court. David Scott, who's 71, is facing one charge of indecent assault in relation to the incident, which is said to have occurred in April last year at the Kapiti Coast District Council premises. Anne-Marie May was in court.
The Crown says the alleged assault occurred during a morning tea at the Kapiti Coast District Council chambers on April the 13th last year. The Crown prosecutor, Kate Feltham, told the court while the complainant was talking to the mayor, David Scott came up and put his hand on her right hip and she moved, thinking someone wanted to get past.
But instead of doing this, the defendant put his other hand on her left hip, holding her with enough force so that she couldn't move forward. He then pushed first his stomach and then his penis into her back and moved firmly from one side of her body to the other.
Ms Feltham said the woman looked over her shoulder and saw David Scott. He walked away without saying anything, and the complainant said there was plenty of room for the councillor to have walked past without any contact. She said the mayor noticed something was wrong and asked the complainant if she was okay, and she composed herself, said she'd be fine, and left. During the course of that day, the woman told a number of people what had happened and some days later made a complaint to the police. Ms Feltham said the day after the incident, the complainant told Mr Scott she was no longer prepared to deal with him directly and he'd have to go through the council CEO if he wanted to discuss any matters with her. She said David Scott sincerely apologised to the woman for any actions that may have upset her.
He also said that he wished she'd said something at the time because he would have explained that he'd had a recent operation on his genitals which made any contact in that area extremely painful. He went on to say that when his stitches were gone, he may not have to protect that area.
Ms Feltham said David Scott told the police he did not recall seeing the complainant in the morning tea room that day. He said that when the council adjourned for morning tea, he'd gone to the toilet to inject himself with insulin as he's diabetic, had gone to morning tea to get some cake and left a few minutes later. Ms Feltham said Mr Scott denied the indecent assault and said it was physically impossible for him to have done so and the woman must have been mistaken about what occurred. The defence lawyer Mike Antanovic chose not to make an opening statement but indicated at least 2 defence witnesses will be called to give evidence. 8 witnesses will give evidence for the Crown, including the complainant and the Kāpiti mayor. The trial, which is being heard before Judge Peter Hobbs and a jury of 6 women and 6 men, is expected to run for about 3 days. In Wellington for Checkpoint, Anne-Marie May.